Well, hello everyone. E3 is over. Well, the official E3. It's going to continue all out through the summer with several other events like Steam What's Next is starting today and is running for the next week, and it's just gonna keep on hitting with new things. But E3, with the name E3, is over. And, well, we've been covering it extensively the last couple of days, so I thought, we'll bring in the editors that have been helping me in the pre- and post-shows, and we'll talk a little bit about our thoughts on this year's E3. So first of all, let's get them all in here, and, well, talk with them. First of all, did everybody sleep well? You all ready for this?
I have coffee.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
sorry, no worries. I was just gonna say, I was gonna say that I was expecting to sleep well last night, and I didn't. I think I'm just used to the awful sleep schedule at this point.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle now.
Yeah.
I'm missing Saddle Ranch.
Yeah.
When were we going to mention Saddle Ranch?
Good point.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Tradition broken.
Yeah, I mean,
totally.
of course, for those that don't know, we here at Gamereactor, we are usually on location in E3, and we usually celebrate the end of E3 by all having a big dinner at Saddle Ranch and riding the mechanical bull, just because, it's not like we've spent and used all our energy running around the show floors. Why not try to cling onto a mechanical bull to get rid of that very last bit of energy before a 12-hour flight home? I mean, it's a solid plan.
And potentially break your arm. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's been broken yet, but I think I shared a photo on social media like 2 years ago where my inner thighs were just completely bruised because, I did not want to let go. Oh, thank you, Zoom, for putting up a little message on screen. That's always great, right in the middle of a thing. But yeah, let's get to talking about this year's E3. I thought it was better than I hoped for. That doesn't mean that it's been a fantastic E3, but there's a lot of factors here. It's completely online. COVID has been delaying both games marketing and all of that stuff. So I was pretty happy in general with what we got. Let's get some general thoughts on E3, starting with Rebecca.
Well, I think more or less like you. I mean, well, maybe I'm not the right person to ask if you mean the general E3 experience, because I've never been there presentially, no. But for example, as a current watcher of E3 online, if we're gonna call it like that, I think more or less like you. I mean, it wasn't the best E3, even though I've never been there and all the experience and all that. But online doesn't seem the best E3, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. Maybe I was too negative. But for example, I think that the Microsoft conference was gorgeous. Maybe it's not the best Xbox or Bethesda conference, but it was pretty good. I don't know if you agree with me, but I shout. I mean, I still shouting with some trailers. So I think that's good. We have some indie games that I really want to try it out. I don't know. We have things. Maybe not all the conference have been as good as we thought, but obviously the pandemic has affected a lot of studios. So having all that in mind, I think we have a really good E3.
Yeah. Kieran?
I think there's certainly been some very high highs and some very, very low lows. It's been like a roller coaster ride, this E3, I think. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied. There's plenty of games that came out of this that I'm really looking forward to checking out. A lot from Nintendo and Microsoft from their conferences. So yeah, I think like Ubisoft, Capcom, and Square, some of those other ones that we pointed out were pretty lackluster compared to kind of previous years. But as you said before, there's like certain hurdles this year that haven't been present before COVID, and the fact that it's all digital and that kind of thing. So I can kind of forgive them a little more for that. But yeah, just feeling excited and feeling good about things overall.
Yeah, moving on to Ben.
Well, I think that we sort of hit the hammer or the nail on the head or whatever for the conferences. You know, there's been good ones, there's been bad ones, but E3 is more than just the shows. E3 is a trade fair, and the entire experience of E3 is being able to go there and, you know, try out all these games, see these big things, and all this different other parts that make E3 what it is. And the ESA has tried to do that with its digital portal this year, but that is by far one of the worst experiences we've seen in a long time. The digital portal is basically just a really shallow social media platform with an avatar creation system. And I think yes, you know, there's been some good parts about the different shows and some bad parts about the different shows, but E3 in general, there's been a lot of things that need improving if we ever look to do another digital E3 down the line. So, yeah, you know, yeah, I love the Xbox conference. I thought there was, you know, lots shown off there. I love the Nintendo conference. I love the Devolver conference, all these different things. But compared to traditional E3s, this is very much lacking, in my opinion, from what we've seen, at least. Being a little bit of the bearer of bad news, should we say there? But, you know, that's my personal opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree there. Like the E3 portal looks like a media management website from the 90s with there's nothing to find or experience in there. And especially when you look at how a couple of trade shows in Germany have gone ahead with like a full experience made in Unity, where it's like almost like a little MMO where you're running around and you can experience booths and you actually have art and you can see trailers there and maybe even click a link and you're onto Steam to download a specific demo. It's like that. That's what I was hoping for. But maybe next year, maybe they just started, you know, a little bit too late on doing something like that. But there is a system out there by a German company that is a way to do these online conferences in style, so that you actually have like an experience while you're trying to experience the conference. But Eirik, what do you think? Did you see all the announcements that you were hoping for this year?
I think it's kind of important to note a little thing here, because hearing both Kieran and Ben talking about this, I think this was a good E3 for mainstream gamers, because it sounds like these are, to exaggerate a bit, there are privileged journalists who are complaining about not getting to go to the E3 showing and do all the other stuff, talking with developers and just enjoying the atmosphere at the show. Because while the conferences this year was, you know, on average good, I think it also shows that we don't need E3 anymore in terms of marketing games, because these conferences might as well have been just a state of play, a Nintendo Direct whenever they wanted throughout the year. I think this is proof that the gamers don't need E3. It's the developers that need E3 to stay in contact with each other, make deals, stuff like that. So I kind of think that this was, we can see it with Ubisoft and Devolver and all of those, that they don't really need the ESA's E3 initiative. They could have just done this themselves, especially considering how much the ESA require in payment to be a part of E3 as we know it. So in terms of the conferences and announcements, I'm very happy because we saw great trailers, we saw great games, we've seen a few good demos, even if the experience isn't as we hoped, as letting people play the games. But in terms of advertisements for the game industry, I'm very pleased with how E3 went this year.
Yeah, I have to agree with you a little bit there. What I was hoping to see from E3, because E3 is a lot about journalists and the public in the last couple of years after they opened it up to the public, coming in and trying out these games as well. And yes, there are some demos available, but just imagine if they had teamed up with, Microsoft xCloud, PlayStation Now, and GeForce Now. And as they were, showing off these trailers, they would say, "Oh, and click here, and you can play the demo streamed just right now. You don't need to download it or anything like that. You just go in and you can try out this limited gameplay E3 demo." That's, for me, what E3 has always been about. Not just announcing and showing games, but getting to play them as well. And they've done that a little bit with demos available on Steam, for example. And Xbox, we have some gameplay coming up from E3 demos there as well. But it didn't felt streamlined enough and easy enough to get into. But I think it's Juan's time. What did you think about this year's E3?
First of all, I think that from an user point of view, the E3 wasn't, well, they sold us the idea that they had some kind of web and app where you could interact with companies and have a deeper look with those games they were showing. But finally, for them, it has been like some kind of regular E3. We were watching those conferences like on 2019 or 2018, and there hasn't been anything new. We have many possibilities. We have many tools to try games, as you said, and they haven't taken advantage of that. I think they weren't fully ready to make a full online E3 show this year, full E3, online E3 experience, and maybe next year they will be able to do that. And then looking at companies, I think we all agree that the highlights have been Xbox and Nintendo, and after them, there have been some others like Capcom and Square Enix that were there and showed us something we almost already knew. It seemed like they didn't have assets and games to show, but at last we have to think too that, there's that coronavirus thing, and companies haven't been able to develop at the same basis they've been doing through those last years. So in general, it has been like a light E3, that 2021 E3.
Yeah, and finally, David, what have you felt about this year's E3 so far?
I pretty much agree with what you guys are saying. I think this E3 prints a very accurate picture of what the industry looks like right now, as of 2021. You're mentioning the ESA, but I think publishers weren't ready either to allow us take a look at their games, talk to the developers. I think so many of them were so reluctant to arrange a video interview. And the reason why that happens, I think they feel like they aren't as much in control as they are when they're physically with you in a press meeting room. And the same goes for, as you said, for playing games. I think after the dust has settled, I think they will realize the exposition their games are going to get from this type of show is ridiculous. I think the amount of games we've played and the amount of developers and executives and representatives we've talked to is, and I think we can talk for many other outlets as well, no matter their size or their relevance, I think that will end up, being like a fifth of what they could have got from a regular E3. And then in terms of those games will need that in the future. We know everything has been delayed by COVID, but they will need to show their head. They will need to stand out, and they will need better and more events in the future. And then in terms of the conferences, I think they weren't ready either. And I think, for example, Square Enix and Capcom were irrelevant. We could have passed without them. Whereas Microsoft, we were really, really, really happy about it. And of course, it's the highlight to me as well. But if you look at it as Bethesda and Microsoft separately, that couldn't have worked this year either. So I think Bethesda made it great, because without Starfield and Redfall, and of course they also have Obsidian with Outer Worlds 2, I think it would have been lackluster as well. So again, I think it's a clear picture of what the industry looks like nowadays.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of our favorite trailers, because I mean, that's what we've been clamoring for the entire show. Every time a conference starts, we're like, oh, we want, a nice trailer, something to grab onto, something to build our hopes up and to be excited for. So let's start talking about our favorite trailers. And because I am the man with my finger on the button, I think I am going to go first and talk about something that probably nobody else here will talk about. Wait, let me find it here. So during the PC gaming show, we got to see this game right here, Pioneer, which I later found out is a MMO, but very Stalker vibe-ish. As soon as I heard that it was an MMO, I was like, okay, little less excited for it. But just watching that trailer during the PC gaming show, I was super, super hyped, especially since I was a little bit let down by the trailer for Stalker 2 during the Xbox showcase. I mean, I was happy to see it there, but I don't think the trailer was that good. But this trailer got me hyped for this game. Come on, who agrees with me?
I don't know. I think you might be. I know you're a big fan of the Stalker games and all that, so I think there's a lot of personal interest there. I'm not saying I dislike the game. I don't think it was one of my personal highlights for the show.
Not even E3, not just the show.
Well, maybe of the show actually. I'm trying to think what else a PC game has really caught my attention. Maybe the Warhammer trailer. But from E3 as a whole, I wouldn't really say it'd be one of my personal favorite trailers. But I mean, while I'm talking, I might as well talk about my personal favorite trailer, Dory.
Yeah, sure.
Which is the Outer Worlds 2. I think it's going to be a lot of people's favorite personal trailer because it's funny, it's daft. Yes, they didn't show anything aside from revealing the fact that it's coming. But it was it's tongue in cheek. It was exactly what we want from a game like Outer Worlds, which has a lot of that humor in it. It's a trailer that you could go back and watch 10 times over and still find it funny at certain parts because it's just daft all the way through. And for me, that's exactly what we need from some of these trailers here today. Everyone needs a good laugh still nowadays. I mean, looking at the United Kingdom as a whole, our lockdown was supposed to end in like a week, and now we got another month of it. So I'm feeling great. So having a trailer like that it's just exactly what I need right now. So yeah, that'd be one of my personal favorites, I'd say.
Yeah, if you can hear the alarm, it's because we're so on fire that the fire alarm went off over here. But I'm not leaving anywhere until I smell smoke. Moving on. Eirik, what was your favorite trailer of the show?
I'll definitely mention a trailer. I doubt any of the others will mention, because I'd obviously mention a certain other game from Summer Game Fest if it wasn't for this. The trailer for Replaced really got my attention, because that mix of cyberpunk, and I'm not usually a fan of what you might call pixel art style, but it really seemed like an atmospheric and really cool game with a combat system with some punch in it. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this game actually plays when it launches on PC and Xbox next year, because I really like the style of it, and the combat just seems impactful and cool. Just look at this. It's neat.
Yeah.
I totally agree
Did
with
we
you.
had we seen this game before? Because I mean, I don't know. The art style looks very familiar. I
It's
thought
very
that.
similar to The Last Night. I said it on the first pre-show, or it's very, very similar. I thought it was the same game, but it's not. Maybe it's because
Copycat.
yeah.
Like your Genshin Impact. It's a copycat of Breath of the Wild.
Ooh.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Yeah, like I thought we were seeing more from that Raw Fury game that I can never remember what it's called. But this is actually by Sad Cat. So yeah,
The Ascent?
sorry, what?
The
Yeah,
Ascent?
no, not the Ascent. But let's move on and let's hear from Juan. Wait, let me already be ready to cut to it. I think I know what.
Well, I think that my favorite trailer from the C3, maybe not in terms of the way they built it, but more from the side of what it meant. Okay, so I think that the Metroid Dread reveal trailer, it was really surprising for me, because they were taking back a game that we heard of, like, 15 years ago or so, and suddenly it appeared yesterday, the past Tuesday, and what it implied too is it was that Metroid is back, and I have to say that coming from a Spanish studio, as we know, it's being developed by Mercury Steam. I've been years saying that Mercury Steam was doing a new Metroid game. I didn't even know anything, but I have that feeling that they were working on it, and seeing it back, seeing the game, seeing Samus back here, celebrating even her 35th birthday with that game. It's my best highlight from this year's C3 by far.
Yeah, and I also have to, just since we've gotten to that, I want to talk a little bit about the different approaches because the online voices, the online vote is either Xbox One or Nintendo One, and it's very much based on, well, first of all, what sort of gamer you are. If you have a Switch, you're super happy for what Nintendo showed, but if you have a console, then it's Xbox. But also the different approaches that they had. Xbox had a very concise, tailored show that showed the breadth of the Xbox ecosystem, while Nintendo did the same. And then, for 5 hours, they showed gameplay with various degrees of success of interest. But they did show, like, for example, in their Direct, they didn't talk about No More Heroes 3, and then they had 24 minutes of gameplay of No More Heroes 3 in the treehouse, which I thought was kind of interesting. So let me throw it out to the panel here before we continue with favorite trailer. Like, what do you feel about the the different approaches to the showcase that we've seen throughout the show. Not just Xbox and Nintendo, but I mean, some went for a tell case, which we'll spend as little words on as possible. But yeah, what are your thoughts on like the structure of some of these showcases?
Well, I think both Square Enix and Koch Media presenting their new label Prime Matter really need to learn a lot from others' showcases in terms of, I mean, it's called a showcase, right? So you need to show stuff. And Prime Matter's Koch Prime Time was all about interesting developer interviews, but not much for fans that they could learn about those games. And of course, it was really long and it became uninteresting very fast. And I think Square Enix was the opposite. I think Guardians of the Galaxy and Juan attended a private presentation on that game. I think it looks lots of fun. It looks great. But the problem with it was like the screen time was too much already. Like you felt like, okay, yeah. It wasn't a teaser. It was like a live demonstration, but it took too long, in my opinion. So I think everyone has to learn about pacing, about people talking to the camera, which I think Square Enix didn't have. And that's interesting always to have a host, even if Capcom was really meh, but at least they had someone talking to you. So it doesn't feel as digital and as distant as this E3 have felt.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick up on that. I think there's a lot to learn. Again, I think we throw around the term E3 a lot, but I don't really feel like this was very much of an E3, if that makes any sense. I think this was just, a collection of showcases. I think putting the tag of E3 on this and making it sound like a trade fair is kind of wrong, just in general, because it wasn't really that. I think the format that we're using, having a bunch of collective shows like this all within a short period of time is great. It generates so much hype. It keeps people engaged and interested. And it doesn't matter whether or not the actual E3 is hosted, in Los Angeles with all the events and stuff like that. If we have all these big shows and stuff put together in one collection of places, it's going to generate a lot of hype for the industry. So that's great. And I think that we can do this more often. Well, maybe not more often, but maybe this can be the future, because we all know how the margins for the actual physical E3 success is incredibly slim and how difficult it is to make it fully work, especially considering the fact the majority of people can't even go because it's A, really expensive to get to Los Angeles, but B, getting a ticket is also like nigh on impossible for the average consumer. So I think that this format itself holds a lot of promise. But yeah, as Dav was saying, this is something that desperately needs to be improved on down the line. People can take what we've seen over this past few days and learn from it. There's some shows that really are great examples of what this needs to be. The Summer Game Fest is one, has a great mismatch of interesting conversation for the developers and stuff that isn't too long, but also has like a decent amount of trailers to keep people engaged that are also interesting content. So I think, with a little bit of practice, I think we're onto something here for the future.
Yeah, and just to take that and what Eirik said earlier, I mean, there's a reason it's called E3, Electronic Entertainment Expo. And I feel like this year we got an extended version of what users at home or viewers and readers at home usually get, which is the conferences. The conferences are big, yes. But a huge part of E3 is the expo part, where we get to walk on the floor and we get to try those games and we get to write about them, do videos on them. We get to talk to the developers ourselves instead of, a pre-approved home-baked interview like we saw on a lot of the conferences. And basically exploring, viewers and readers at home get to kind of experience the expo part normally by going through our coverage as we walk through the show floor and get to, experience stuff. But there was no real expo here. This was just the E3 conferences. Which
I have to say, I think it was renamed Electronic Entertainment Experience, which we didn't get either. So all your points are valid. So there was no expo, no experience. So we have to find another word with an E.
Yeah, let me think about it. But let's go back to favorite trailers. I believe it's David's turn to tell us about his favorite trailer experience of E3.
I think Forza Horizon made much of Xbox conference impact. I've said before that without Bethesda, it wouldn't have looked half as interesting. But of course, I think we have to give them some credit in how they kept cards close to their chests. Of course, we knew it was coming. Of course, there are two teams in Playground Games, one for Fable, one for Forza Horizon. Of course, it leaked. Of course, we knew it was Mexico. But with how COVID is changing development times and release schedule, I think you have to be really smart in when and how you show your weapons, right? So the good thing about Forza Horizon, even though it's not going to be fully ray traced for the whole gameplay experience, is in terms of the trailer itself, I really loved how they bragged about photogrammetry and realism in every sequence, every place of Mexico they were going to show. It started with a seemingly static picture of the vista, right? And then we're moved slightly to show that was actual in-game footage, and the car rushed through that environment, which is beautiful and incredibly detailed. So I think it was, this is the fifth Forza Horizon, and we've seen a lot of racing games in the past, but I think it was smart in the way it was edited. I'm sure you know much more about this story, but I think that was smart in that, this looks realistic, this looks like real life, this looks like next gen, which was really needed for Xbox Series.
Yeah, I kind of find it funny sometimes in like a big racing game like this shot, where it's like, and you can count every individual needle on the cactus, and then it zooms by and it drives, and then it's like, okay, all of those details, you're not noticing them really as you're driving. However, I do understand that it does lend itself to immersion. And yeah, having them show just how nice it's going to be able to look on the Xbox Series, I was impressed. But then I thought about, but I wonder how it's going to look on the Xbox One. And then we thought that they had cut out the Xbox One, that they had broke their promise.
Yeah.
But later, after the show, we found out, no, there are official assets out there with box art for the Xbox One. So it's going to be available, but how is it going to look on those platforms?
I'm thinking about Creation USA on the Nintendo 64. Do you remember that game? More or less like that. One thing I wanted to mention is that I think this is the third Forza Horizon with HDR skies. And they mentioned how they took a lot of, I think, 5K or 6K.
It was 8K.
8K photographs of the sky in Mexico. And that might seem like a minor detail, but if you've played Forza Horizon 3 and 4, they really nail how the sky and the lighting, casting tones and colors and shadows over your car and environment. That really makes you feel like you are there. So it's really important. And those are some beautiful skies. And I'm really not sure how, if you remember, Forza Horizon 2 was really cut down for the 360. And that was the first one that they went really big with it. After the Canyon, that was Mediterranean environment. So that could tell us something about how they could approach this one. But Phil Spencer said this was made for the ground up for the series. So it's really a lot of cutting they have to do.
Yeah.
I was going to mention, if you want to know how it will look on Xbox One, then keep an eye out for my preview, which should be landing today or tomorrow. So we spoke to Mike from Playground Games and asked about that directly.
Plug. Love it. Now, we have gone this entire show without talking about the first big wow moment of E3, which happened technically before E3 started, and that is, of course, that the Summer Games Kickoff Live ended with Elden Ring. Now, I worked with Juan and Eric, and we did a little trailer breakdown video. So I was wondering, Juan and Eric, talk us through the Elden Ring trailer a little bit.
Eric, you want to start?
You can start, Juan.
Okay. Well, I have to say I didn't expect Elden Ring to show this year, but we were hearing something that it should be coming. Well, there you are. I feel it kind of funny that we've known more about Elden Ring outside of E3, that Geoff had the chance to show it to the world. Well, we have it there. It's the first Soulsborne game that written, or maybe is its lore written by George R. Martin, that guy from Game of Thrones. I don't remember the names of the books. And I'm really looking forward to that because, Dark Souls games have a huge lore that you have to explore it deeper, looking at items, looking at NPCs, looking at almost everything. And now you have all that written by a guy who knows a lot about writing and in an open world game. So I want to see even not only how they hide that lore elements in that open world, the in between lands, I think it's named, but also I like to know how do they design it. Dark Souls games are known because letting that outside that difficult side of those games, they have a world design that is really cleverly built, and now they have an open world game that Miyazaki said recently that it kind to seem like Zelda Breath of the Wild, in terms of there are going to be some different areas to explore. Each one of them is going to be built like a dungeon itself with its own boss. But while you are exploring too, you're going to see even like mini dungeons too, some castle fortresses, and even caves to explore. Well, we're going to have like a Dark Souls 4 game, I think, and a huge Dark Souls game that I think it's precisely what we wanted to see from software.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would add to that is that Bandai Namco, they had scheduled in a showcase that was yesterday after the Nintendo Treehouse. And first, on the official schedule, it just says Bandai Namco. And I'm thinking, they're going to show more Elden Ring. Later on, it's revealed that they are focusing solely on the Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes, which is fine. It's one of their biggies coming up. But come on. Come on. But Eric, your thoughts on Elden Ring?
I think not showing Elden Ring gameplay is the smart move, because part of the experience for me in From Software games is learning about these universes and mechanics for myself. And that's what really intrigues me about Elden Ring, because it seems like a fusion of all their previous games, or at least modern Souls games. Because, and with now having the dynamic weather system and the open world, it leaves itself to more exploration. Now even the more, let's call them, the mainstream gamers can look to this and compare it with Zelda, and oh, can I find a secret monster or something when it rains or during the night, exploring more freely, even if Miyazaki-san has said it's smartest to take it in a certain, take certain bosses at certain times and stuff like that. But I think having it be an open world and having the lore at least being written by R.R. Martin leaves itself to having a more mainstream experience that people can more understand and ease people into this universe, letting them explore the world in the pace they want, and now having different classes to use, stuff like that. I think that's why one of the reasons why Elden Ring is so hyped, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, another big trailer drop at E3 that people were not expecting. We were hoping for it, but not expecting it. And that is Avatar. In fact, I think, Eirik, you said like, no, they're not going to show that before we know more about the movie. But, haha. Well, what do you guys think about Avatar?
It's definitely exciting, right? The thing is for me with this trailer, and yes, it's incredibly exciting to look at. I still don't really know what the game is. You know, we've seen all the different details about what it's suggested to be from various different reports here and there. But it's a cinematic trailer through and through. So it's basically just teasing us to what this world of Avatar could be. To me, it's kind of unusual that we are seeing it, as you know, as I mentioned, that I don't really know what to say about this trailer, because I don't really think we're going to be getting gameplay for it anytime soon either. It says it's coming out in 2022. We talked about this on the Ubisoft post show, I believe, that it would be strange for this game to release before the next Avatar movie. And especially with James Cameron being so heavily attached to this game, it seems like we don't even know if this game is going to be definitely coming 2022, believe it or not. It sounds strange to say, but if the movie gets delayed again, of which, you know, with the movie industry being as fluid as it is, will we get this game in 2022? It's hard to say. But yeah, the trailer looks great. It shows off a lot of different things. You see the Na'vi people back again, the different various mounts, the big mechas that you can, I'm assuming, will either be able to use or have to fight. And I'm looking forward to it, yeah. But at the same time, it's a cinematic trailer, so you have to take everything with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah, like we mentioned the Outer Worlds 2 trailer earlier, which was hilarious because of how it was depicting this grand CG trailer, and then with the narrator just talking over and saying, "Oh, you're not going to see any of this. You know, we haven't really worked on the game at all. We just know the title." And in the back of my mind, all I could think of was this trailer right here and the Starfield trailer that was in the same presentation. It's like so on the nose. But
yeah,
but that does bring us to Starfield. Let me pop up that trailer. I mean, we thought we were going to see some more Starfield. We saw a little bit more Starfield, but enough to whet our appetite?
I mean, I can go again. Starfield's another one of those games that is very exciting because of all the different things that we've been, again, told about the game. Not through the trailers, but from various different reports. It's a game that hopefully will mark should we say, like the next era of Bethesda, you know, as they start to move into these new gen consoles and really exploit them and use them to their advantage. Because right now, I mean, what's the big Bethesda game right now? Is it maybe still Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76? Like, we don't have anything to look forward to Bethesda-wise. Well, maybe, Deathloop. Deathloop's Bethesda, right, isn't it? But that's a PlayStation exclusive game. So that doesn't even really apply to a lot of the people out there. It's come to PC as well, but it's a PlayStation 5 console exclusive, so it doesn't apply to Switch or Xbox users. And not that Starfield will apply to many in return. You know, Starfield is going to be an Xbox console exclusive. So it's a tough one to say. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this trailer again. Hopefully it will depict a lot of what is shown. But we didn't really get shown anything again.
I wanted to say something about this, if you let Kieran. Because we're talking about huge trailers and huge announcements that we really don't know a lot about them. So I think that's a good, smart step for the industry, because they don't have a lot of things because of the pandemic, because of this type of E3, because everything. But at least we're very hyped for the titles that we don't know so much about their gameplays. I mean, and I think that's a very good, a very smart step for them for getting us hyped until they have something. So I guess that's maybe what it went wrong with some conferences, going back to them. For example, I have the example of Kena, Bridge of Spirits. I mean, I was so hyped. Yeah, and I'm still so hyped. But they show maybe too much. I mean, I don't know. We have a lot of gameplays. We have a lot of news. We have a lot of content. And maybe they have to leave something for discovery, as I said before. I mean, it's a short game. I don't want to know more. And we didn't even mention it throughout those days and the conference and all that. And it was there. But we obviously, because it's there. Okay, I want to play it. Don't show me more. That's it. Just only a comment I wanted to say.
Yeah, and it's fair enough, because you kind of put the finger on what can be the main problem of shows like E3, or even just conferences in general, for both for users and for us us journalists, is that the publishers are oftentimes in this kind of catch-22 position. It's like, if you don't show enough, we're gonna demand more. But if you show too much, like Square Enix did with Guardians of the Galaxy, then we're gonna go like, oh, that's too much, it's too long. We don't care, because it's also so dependent on personal interest. But like when I try to think about like the pacing of the shows, I try to think of it outside of what I feel about the game, and I just think about like, okay, they talked about something here for 15 minutes. Is that justifiable in terms of what the market size can be for this title? So I don't know. I try to kind of disassociate, but also, I mean, I can't help but fanboy out about some of these stuffs during E3. So it's an interesting thing. But I want to talk about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, because that was announced. We were fully expecting it. It was shown first at the Summer Game Fest kickoff, and then they showed basically the same trailer at the Gearbox showcase, and then talked about the movie for 40 minutes. And we didn't really get to see any more about that game. But yeah, Eirik, I think you know some more about this title that you can fill us in.
I'm not going to ruin
Spoil
the
it.
fun for the PR
Spoil it.
marketing.
Tell us everything.
Nah, I'm guessing there's a reason why they don't show anything more than this. And I'll let them reveal those surprises themselves. There's a reason why I was fairly vague in my article when I kind of reported on the game as well. Sorry, Dory.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, you already did let us know that it was incoming, so I guess I can't fault you for not wanting to spill all the beans. I mean, you need to be able to also talk to these people at a later point. Let me see here. Somebody mentioned Silt from the PC gaming show.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah. So now's your chance to shine. Why is Silt one of your highlights from E3?
I kind of like the kind of creepy and like eerie vibe it's got to it. It kind of reminds me a lot of those Limbo and Inside games. Is it Playdead who created those? Yeah.
Yeah.
Their kind of games. And I really like this mechanic that it's got going on here where you can kind of take command of the underwater life to go through different puzzles and that kind of thing. So yeah, it looks intense, it looks scary, and it looks like it's got some fun kind of puzzles and gameplay elements in it. I don't know. I've just got a thing for this kind of minimalist art style. I think it looks great.
What do you think about Somerville then?
I can't remember Somerville off the top of my head.
Because
Sorry.
that's from the same guys that are from Playdead.
Oh, is it? Do we have the trailer for that one?
Let's see how fast Story can do this.
No, I
Oh,
don't have it.
we could have had my first impressions live, but Dory was not prepared. And Slime Rancher 2. Do we have that one? That was another
That
like,
I
indie.
have. So while you talk about Slime Rancher 2, I'm gonna go and find that Somerville trailer.
But yeah, Slime Rancher, one of my favorite indies from like the last couple of years. Just like really relaxing, collecting these little slimes and raising them and looking after them. And this new game just looks like, I don't know, the visuals have just been really enhanced here. Like look at the grass and the colors and everything. And like I noticed there's like lots of new different types of slimes on here. There's slimes with like bunny ears. There's bat ones that you can see inside the cave as well. So yeah, I'm just looking for more of the same because the original was like such a fun and addictive loop, raising these slimes, getting the in-game currency and kind of building a bigger farm and upgrading your materials. So yeah, I'm just happy just to play more of the same but looking better.
I
Yes.
gotta give you that, Kieran. You have a very diverse taste. From now going from a fairly black and white atmospheric game to now Slime Rancher 2 with just colors all around.
But yeah, let's get your live thoughts on the Somerville trailer.
Okay. So this is from the creators of Limbo, right?
Yeah.
I really want to play that one too.
Okay. So is this like a side-scrolling platformer?
Yeah,
like
it's
the
a bit
Movers?
more like Playdead is planning right now. A bit more 3D
Oh, wow.
elements.
Yeah, a bit more
Yeah, I
like
can see that.
2.5D.
There's a thing that I don't like because there's a dog that only appears like once. What happens to the dog? I don't want to know. Nothing bad, please. No.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like an extra dimension to the world, isn't there? I'm hoping it's got the same kind of like horror aspects to it as well. Like those games, what I really liked about them is how kind of creeped out and grossed out you'd feel if you do fall into a trap or get hurt or something like that. And the end of Inside is just horrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the gameplay that was shown was interesting, but only a slight tease. 2022.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what do you think, Dory? Do you have the Trek to Yomi trailer?
I do indeed. I am prepared. So
Yeah.
Track to Yomi. Which-
Yeah.
Really cool. I mean, the first thought that I have when I saw the trailer was like, is that the indie Ghost of Tsushima? But I don't know. It has like his own essence. I don't know. I really like the gameplay and the art style. Obviously, the fact that it is in black and white, which makes you feel like different things. I don't know. Really like that one.
Yeah, this one looks really cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, it
action
also
platforming.
feels like a 2.5D side scroller in a way. Just yeah, I enjoyed the real, and I wanted to see more, and that's comes back to what I've been missing from this year's E3 is like being able to go on the show floor and try the demos, having hands on with these games directly, and then being able to share both the gameplay and thoughts on it afterwards. Which, yeah, I mean, we've discussed it enough, I think, on the show. It's just should have been more of an effort on ESA's part to bring the expo part of E3 to us and to the people. Let's see if there's anything that we're missing here.
I'm kind of curious to ask people. Apologies for being a downer, but which trailer disappointed you the most? Because it's interesting to see how people, for example, were really hyped to see how far Halo Infinite has come, and nobody mentioned that portion of the Xbox and Bethesda conference showcase.
Wow.
Disappointing trailers.
I think
I would have to think.
I think you do bring up a real fair point about Halo Infinite, though. I mean, I think this is something we touched on in the post show on Xbox, where we basically just mentioned that it doesn't seem like it's defined still. You know, they talked a lot about the multiplayer and it being free, but they still didn't give us a release date. They didn't show off really anything about the campaign, right? So this is a lot of unanswered questions about the game that is essentially like the poster boy of Xbox, right? Master Chief is, I think he's still in the Xbox Series consoles, right? Somewhere on the components engraved in, and yet this game, yeah, nobody's talking about it for whatever reason, and it's probably because it wasn't that exciting. You know, we didn't get that big explosive trailer. Strangely enough, we got the big explosive trailer 2 years ago, and then they followed it up with trash gameplay that made the game look terrible. So I don't know. It's kind of unusual they took a different approach. They kind of did the exact opposite this time around. And yeah, I don't know. A part of me is a little concerned about this game, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to playing it. So we'll see what happens come holiday 2021.
I thought of my most disappointing trailer, but I don't think we've got it. I don't think Dory's got it.
Well, maybe,
But
but give me a second, because I'm bringing in the Halo trailer here, because yeah, I want to talk about some specific things in the campaign trailer, but I needed to download like the entire presentation aspect. Let me scroll in here. Bam, bam, bam. Yes, here we go.
That line though, when Master Chief says, where they say, "You've only got one bullet," and he says, "It's enough." Like, that's a killer line. Like, come on.
Yeah. But see, so when I was watching this live, I was like, why are they showing a CG trailer? And then I was like, oh no, okay, they're going to go directly into gameplay and show us how amazing the game looks, because this is all actual like in-engine gameplay and not a specific cutscene. And then they had the chance to do that at the end of the segment, and they didn't. They didn't show any gameplay from the campaign, like actual in-engine running gameplay, which I thought was like 2022. You said, okay, like right here when he does the jump and then lands in the office and then fades to black. I thought it was going to go directly into his helmet and, you know, show us some campaign gameplay, but unless they want to claim that is, but yeah.
It is a bizarre strategy, right? But I don't know. This is going to be one of those games that people, despite the fact that the way they've handled Halo Infinite over the past 2 years, 3 years, this is still a game that people are going to be very excited to play when it does eventually launch later this year. So, Xbox 343 Industries, they could have and should have handled it much way differently than the way they have. But I don't really think it's going to have much of an outcome or an effect to when this game actually does launch later this year, believe it or not. Especially with it coming to Xbox Game Pass on day one, which whenever day one is, shall we say.
But which trailer were you talking about, Kieran?
The new Team Ninja game I was going to mention.
Oh.
Final Fantasy Origins.
You mean the PS3 exclusive?
Yeah, that one. The one that appeared, and then me and Ben spoke in the chat and said, did this game come out like 10 years ago? Because that's what the trailer kind of suggested. I don't know.
Wait,
I'm a big fan.
What was it
Final
called
Fantasy
again?
Origin.
Oh.
Strangers of something, right?
Yeah.
But that's how much we liked it. We can't even memorize the title. I don't know. Like, I'm a huge fan of like the Neo games and even the Ninja Gaiden ones that I've just played in the collection. And this looks to be a step down from that work, even though it's them kind of, tackling such a big property.
Even the demo didn't exactly launch flawlessly.
Oh, yeah, there's a demo coming on PS5. Did you get a chance to play that?
Well, I don't think anybody did. It was corrupted. So, but they were applying fixes for it. They may have fixed it by now, but yeah, it was a corrupted download.
But yeah, it just looks so dated from a visual point of view, and I don't know, the combat system just looks a little mindless. I don't know. I can't really say.
It seems
Killing
a bit more
mechanic is
stiff.
Yeah, it's just stiff and awkward. It just feels like, I could mash a button and do that.
It kind of feels. It kind of feels a little bit like they took DMC and made it a little bit stiffer and then put like a Final Fantasy skin on it.
Yeah, these animations just look really terrible as well to me. Like, I don't know. I'm not much of a Final Fantasy fan, so I can't really comment on it from that angle, like whether it's satisfying for fans of the series or anything like that. But just as a kind of average consumer, this just doesn't look very appealing to me. And especially considering what Team Ninja have done in the past and knowing their potential.
Yeah. I mean,
What
for sure.
about you, Rebecca, Jory, or David, if he's still here? Been quiet for quite some time.
Oh, he left.
Yeah.
Oh, Juan, then.
Yeah, he had to dip out. But yeah, Juan, your disappointment of E3.
My disappointment on E3 is that thing we are watching right now, because it is ugly as hell, and when we heard about some kind of Final Fantasy Neo game, this was the last thing I was expecting to see on E3. The design choices they made, I can't even understand how they decided to follow that way. But I even think that they are joking, or they are toying with us, and they are trying to give us a look on one thing, but the truth is that it is going to be a different game. But maybe I am not the one who's talking, but my inner fan trying to see those things differently and think, okay, it's going to be better than it is looking right now. I have to say, people have tried the demo, and some voices are saying that it is funny, but again, it is ugly as hell. It seems like that PS3 era games, everything grayish, green. This doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy game. This doesn't feel even. I think it is based on Final Fantasy 1. All their Final Fantasy games have those designs made by Yoshitaka Amano. I think this is being made by Tetsuya Nomura, and he's way better than that when he's inspired, I have to say. I don't know. This was my bigger disappointment by far, by really, really, really far.
What about Babylon's Fall? That was also at the Square Enix presentation, with Platinum Games going for a live service game. And I've said this before. I said it in the post show as well. I think that the bitrate on the stream from Square did not do this game any favors, because it has this kind of water painted look, which as soon as it gets kind of pixelated and bitrate, it kind of blends and merges into, and just makes it look that much worse. So I actually kind of like the art style in this game, I have to say. After having watched the trailer in higher quality separately. But I'm still not excited for this game. I mean, I like Platinum Games, but I don't like Platinum Games going into making a live service game with mechanics that feel like, ripped straight out of Bayonetta 2. A bit less exciting.
Yeah, it just looked really bland to me. But Platinum Games, if I remember right, they've not really got a bad game in their catalog, like over the last kind of 5 to 10 years.
Ooh,
So
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what the word?
was that? I've not seen that one, but I mean, like, they're kind of bigger, kind of titles that I've released over the last few years, like Bayonetta, and then there's titles I can't remember the names of, but they're known for their quality, basically. And to see this kind of looking a bit underwhelming, yeah, was a bit disappointing.
I think as well, I mean, this was shown during the Square Enix conference, and we've already touched on earlier how the pacing of the Square Enix conference was a little all over the shop. And I don't think this was the best showing of what this game can be. But I do feel like a lot, like, even with like the Final Fantasy demo, which looks truly grim. I don't know how they managed to make it look the way it does, but I feel like a lot of my personal perceptions to these trailers, especially from the Square Enix ones, have been just that they came at a wrong time. I felt so oversaturated by Guardians content by the time these trailers arrived that I was sort of a little bit over it already. I was a little bit past the point of really caring. If that might sound a bit harsh saying that, but that's how I sort of felt personally. So I look at these two trailers and I think, there's an audience for them, and people are probably interested in looking and buying them. But for me, this isn't great. This isn't great. These aren't games that these aren't games that really scream new gen to me, which is a big issue, especially because both are especially supposed to be releasing on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. I don't get that at all from these games right now.
Yeah, there's an audience for them, but I feel like they've been done better by other people in the past. Do you know what I mean? It's there's nothing new about them particularly. Maybe the art style in the Platinum Games one is kind of unique. But I don't know, it just kind of feels kind of samey, kind of seen it before, not too impressive.
Yeah, like when thinking about like these Japanese slashers, I'm looking at this and like, okay, would I want to play this more than, say, Scarlet Nexus, which is coming out soon? And I think Scarlet Nexus has, hundreds of ideas that I think are more exciting than anything that I see in this trailer right here. I
would go as far as arguing that Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS4 looked better than both of these trailers right now. And that was on PS4. And I mean, granted, it's come out on PS5 now and it looks even better, but even on PS4, it looked better than either of these two. And I'm assuming these are supposedly being shown with new gen graphics right now, because I don't see the point in releasing these games on new gen consoles and then showing a trailer on PS4 or Xbox One. So
yeah, I don't think I would have been blown away seeing that trailer at E3 2015. Never mind E3 21.
But yeah, let's move it on to something a little bit more positive, but still it could be more positive, and that is Atomic Heart trailer from the Xbox showcase. First actual gameplay, they say, And well, if this is actual gameplay, well, color me interested.
Wow,
It looks really good,
I
right?
missed this one. Yeah.
Like graphically, it looks really impressive. And that's not even talking about the fact of what's going on screen, which I don't understand 90% of it. It's just truly bizarre, but I'm all about it. I thought this was something that would have. I can imagine this is something that kind of interests you, Dory. I don't know why, but I feel like it gives me the same sort of, that sort of. I want to say sort of like like sort of Russian-y sort of game design where it's you got all these weird things happening in this like big sort of like Soviet sort of landscape, if you know what I mean. But obviously it's more modern and more like and then less apocalyptic, should we say. But it has that sort of Soviet sort of feel to it in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. What the way that I would describe this game is if the creators of Stalker played Fallout New Vegas. And it's like, let's do some of that. Because
It's not far off, because even Mundfish themselves have said that this is basically a hybrid between Bioshock and Fallout.
Ah.
And it's interesting to see the game again, because it's been fairly radio silent for 2 years. Then it started showing up again a few months ago, and it seems like it's making some real progress.
yeah, and I mean, this is a game that they used a lot as to show benchmarks and how ray tracing was going to look in games all the way since the 20 series cards. And I mean, we're way into the 30 generation. So it's like I said, I've been excited for this game, but I've always kind of seen it as a tech demo that I wasn't sure was ever going to be released. But with Xbox committing to showing the trailer, that gives me confidence. Oh, it is on the way. It is closer than I thought it was. So
I'm
Yeah.
just worried about that Xbox One version. Like, if this is really a benchmark for kind of graphical power, how is it going to run on like an original Xbox One from 2013?
yeah, well, they're gonna turn off the ray tracing. It's gonna run in 1080p, 30 frames per second. Don't worry about it.
4-minute loading times.
Yeah. Frame rate dips. Yeah.
But yeah, anything else that you guys want to bring up? We've gone through most of like the great trailers.
Maybe some indies. Like
yeah.
our favorite indies. Like,
Yeah, go for it. Bring
I
up a
guess I've already
title.
said mine.
Oh yeah, that's true. You've already decided, so you don't get another chance. Let's hear from Eirik.
Hades coming to Xbox and PlayStation. Woohoo!
I mean,
What about Tiny Keen? Was interesting too.
Not so fast. I'm still finding the trailer for Hades.
Sorry.
Wait your turn.
Oh, Hades, what a game.
Yeah, like they did a little funny thing here. They didn't start the trailer off with the the Xbox exclusive or the Xbox launch exclusive, and then at the end of this trailer, I don't think they only put Xbox as a platform, which kind of made me think that it was going to be an Xbox console exclusive, but it's not. It's launching day and date on PlayStation. But I mean, more Hades is just.
I mean, Xbox players get it on Game Pass day one. That's pretty big bolster.
That is true. Yeah, off the 30 games that they showed at the show. 27 of them are going to be Game Pass day and date. Which
And the physical too.
Oh yeah, but yeah, just Game Pass is becoming a better deal every day. I have to jump on this comment here from the chat from Monster Gaming, saying I'm praying for GTA 5. Please say GTA 5 is coming. GTA 5, pray. E3 is over. We didn't get GTA 5. Sorry, it's not coming. No, sorry. Yeah.
GTA
is it-
6.
Or does
Yeah, I
it
just
mean GTA
assumed.
5 Enhanced Edition.
That's coming in
Here's
November,
the thing.
isn't it?
I assumed he was talking about GTA 6, but it says GTA 5. So
I mean, either
Sorry?
way, there was no GTA across the board, so.
no, that's true.
But we know that Rockstar has a deal with PlayStation in that regard, so maybe we'll get some gameplay from that edition later this summer. If they just don't save it for the November release. Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, Rebecca, you had an indie that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, but I changed my mind.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I really want to know more about Planet of Lana. I don't know if you remember that game. It was like a tiny black creature, really cute, with a tiny boy and a lot of asteroids or something falling from sky. I don't know. It seems like a post-apocalyptic world, but it's still beautiful. I don't know. I didn't know what to think, and I really like that feeling. And well, beautiful graphics, cutie creature. Okay.
Yeah, and funnily enough, with kind of that same water painted finish that Babylon's Fall has, except just looks better here.
Look away if you're an arachnophobe soon.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't the only trailer that did that this year's show. But yeah, Thunderful is quickly becoming one of my favorite indie publishers. Scratching at the heels of Tiny Build, Devolver, and Raw Fury.
Kind of looks like one of those Studio Ghibli films, if that's how I pronounce it. Like one of those animated movies.
Mm-hmm.
An Off-Earth Odyssey. Yeah, it's kind of funny that I kind of forgot about this trailer. I remember that I thought it was nice as it was shown, but then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I guess it's only because I really like those kind of games. So if you're not so interested in these kind of games, it's normal, I guess. But it really got me.
I'm interested in all games. It's just I have limited processing power to keep information in here. But yeah, any other indies that you want to shout out, guys?
I think I can guess Ben's pick.
Go on then.
Moolander.
Oh yeah, Moolander. I like that one. That was a good game. Yeah, I'm not sure you have that one, Dory. That was in the indie game showcase, right?
No,
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
was.
I don't.
Yeah.
You don't have access to that.
I'll figure it out.
Have
I
a
don't
quick
remember
look.
that one.
I like that game because of its name and its strange story. I was after the show. I started looking into it, and I found out that the storyline was basically about two conflicting like alien races who'd been at war, and they basically like put each other to the brink of extinction. And in their last hope of survival, they'd gone out into the universe to find the machine that can produce an infinite amount of energy from the most valuable source in the universe, which is milk. And it takes them to this planet, which I can't remember all the lore and stuff, so I don't know whether it's Earth or not. But they take to this planet which is inhabited by cows that have like strange cybernetic abilities that can like, fight back and all that. And it's just bizarre, and I was really into it. I was really, really into it when I was watching it.
Oh, look at it. I actually like the visuals.
Yeah.
I just assumed when I saw some screenshots and the name, I assumed that it was going to be, aliens had been coming to Earth and experimenting on cows.
Nope.
To create a super weapon. I was merging that with the description as you were saying it there at the beginning. It was okay. But yeah, maybe the sequel.
Maybe we'll see. It was just too daft to not catch my attention, to be honest. I was kind of into it.
Oh, another game that was absolutely insane from that showcase, and I've already had my time, and I should probably stop talking.
Oh,
But
come on.
Fallen Aces. Do you remember that one, Ben?
Was that the the noir crime
It's
one?
like a noir Doom kind of adventure, which has got like kind of some really hilarious action sequences in it. I don't know. I've never seen a game that looks like that before. Don't know if you could get the trailer for it, Dory, because
Oh, this one?
Wow.
New Blood.
A really interesting use of combat here, hasn't it? This game.
Yeah. But I think this one appeared in another conference as well. I think it was on 2 of them. I've
Yeah,
certainly seen it before.
I think it showed up shortly on Guerrilla Collective, the first show. I might be wrong there, but yeah, I've heard about this game before, but seeing some gameplay from it is interesting. But yeah, like
It's
like
like
this
the old school Doom games.
yeah, like a pixel art cell shaded Doom.
Look at that.
What the fuck? What's this game?
The characters are so expressive. And oh look, headshot. It's that
360.
kick. But yeah, this.
I will say I was starting to get a little bit nauseous during this trailer with all the 360 kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That looks like
the
a lot.
one thing that I'm worried about this game is I think it might have the same problem that I have with the OG Dooms, is that you can't widen your FOV, and when I play a game with such a narrow FOV, I get nauseous. I need my peripheral vision, yo.
Think about.
But yeah, Eric, any indies you want to shout out? Other
I
than
mentioned
I guess
my indies as the best trailer for the entire show, so
yeah, I was about to say.
think about something else.
Well, if there's one other thing that I'd like to quickly bring up, if while Eric's thinking, is a game that we haven't really talked about, but was shown off at like 3 different conferences, and it's not Hello Neighbor 2. Before anyone says,
Monster
it
Hunter
was
Stories.
no, it wasn't that either. I'm talking about Far Cry 6 because I was really expected to get bored of this game after it was shown like the 3rd time, but I think they did a really good job of showing off different trailers each time that, like, you know, kept engaging us and kept keeping us interested with the storyline and the characters, especially Giancarlo Esposito's Anton Castillo, I think his name is. I think they did a really good job of keeping this world feeling interesting to explore, especially considering, you know, as we talked about on the UB post show, Far Cry is very much what it says in the tin, and this game is seemingly going to be the same again. You know, it's going to be a new Far Cry game set in a different place, but it's very much a Far Cry game. You know what you're going to get from it.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
I'm
let me just scroll back real quick, because it's funny thing. This irked me more than I think anything during the show. Look at how he's holding his phone. I zoomed in on it and I couldn't see anything else. Like, you don't hold your phone like that. Nobody does. Not even a madman. But yeah, I agree with you. The way that they spread out the different types of Far Cry 6 stuff, and they saved the best for last. I think in the Xbox showcase is actually where I got the most excited for the game, where they were showing the different approaches and different tools, and it's like, oh, it's actually an even bigger kind of playful sandbox than the previous games, with a rocket car and stuff.
What do you think about Solar Ash? It was a new trailer gameplay.
I remember that game. That's the one that they showed off back in a state of play again early this year, right? I think. Yeah. It's got that really like colorful purple and yellowy color scheme. Yeah, I know the one about that. Looks
Yeah, it's
it
very
looks really
similar
interesting.
to the latest title of the studio, which was Hyper Lighter Drift. I've never
Hyper Light
remembered
Hyper
the
Light
name.
Drifter. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. But we didn't see a lot of gameplay until now, and it was very interesting for me because I've been following this game well since it was announced, and I really want to play it. And I think that the gameplay is better than I expected for the latest trailers. So I'm very on it.
Yeah, like I'm not sure. I don't think that it lands for me. I think okay. I think it looks okay, but this sort of Shadow of the Colossus type gameplay mixed in with inline skating, I guess it's like, But it is coming out this year. I thought for sure it was going to be coming out next year.
Yeah. And I have two more that are coming out soon. They weren't as surprising as other ones because we know they were going to be released very soon. But 12 Minutes and Death's Door, well, I really like those ones and I really want to play them.
Yeah, I got 12 minutes.
Yeah,
here
sorry.
somewhere.
I'm your nightmare right now, Dory. Sorry.
Just too
We
quick.
obviously also have cereal cleaners for you, Dory.
Oh yeah, that's coming up. I have it. I have that ready on my list. But yeah, 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
I want. I don't know. I just want the game out. I don't even want to see more from the game. It's like I have a very good idea of what this game is going to be about. I've seen similar trailers to this so many times before. Just give it to me. I don't need more hype for 12 minutes myself.
Yeah, I played it recently, and
God
yeah,
damn
it's just all top down and really simplistic. But it's amazing how everything in that small flat is just like so meticulously planned, like planted there, and how many different outcomes you can get within the game as well.
That's what really intrigues me about the game, but also worries me is that Antonio has said that this game will last for approximately 12 to 15 hours. And I just can't imagine how that's possible.
So long. Didn't know that.
I mean, like every loop is 12 minutes, and you need to go through the loop several times.
Yeah, but
It stacks up.
Every loop
several
is
is an
12 minutes.
understatement here, Dory.
Not every loop is 12 minutes because you could take the sleeping pills on the counter there and then fall asleep, and then that's like a 2-minute loop done. Or
Spoilers.
sorry,
Don't say anything else. I
We
don't want
don't
to
need
know.
to play the game anymore, Dory. We know how it ends now.
Yeah, you just take the sleeping pills. You're done in 2 minutes.
read our
31
preview.
minutes ago. I don't want to know anything else. And Kiran, oh yeah, you know that.
Yeah, anyone interested? Read our preview. I'll go into a lot more spoilers there.
Kieran Plug Master Q.
Well, yeah.
But yeah,
It's,
we moving on. We had the Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which was unfortunately leaked by Nintendo ahead of time, but still looked like. I mean, I think the cinematic trailer was interesting, and that they are changing up the gameplay a little bit. It doesn't seem as locked into kind of the XCOM, the strict XCOM structure as it was in the previous one.
Doesn't use the hexagons anymore, it seems. Seems
Yeah.
more like a free flow system.
But yeah,
It
that
really makes me want that movie.
oh yeah, or a TV show.
a Mario movie.
Yeah,
Mario Rabbids
Got one
movie.
of
even if
those.
I'm not a big fan of Despicable Me. But if they just made it in this style, I would probably enjoy it.
What about Super Mario Bros. From 1993? We already have that movie.
And we even got the extended cut.
Oh yeah, we did recently.
I'm looking at the kick button here. It's looking more and more tempting.
Sorry.
But yeah, let's talk serial cleaners, because Eric brought it up. I just found out about this during the Guerrilla Collective too. But Eric, as he put it, you didn't know about this before? So tell me, why should I have known about this before? What more do we know?
I was more thinking about the original game, because it seems like this builds upon that in a cool way. Just sneaking around, trying to clean up the mess and not getting spotted. Even the art style looks cool, and the concept in general seems like a good bit of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I love that it's kind of bringing back the gameplay of Commandos. Although we've seen a couple of games recently that employ very similar gameplay, but with a completely different goal. Here, you're not, trying to take out the enemies and kill them. You're just trying to stay hidden and clean up all the blood from, this massive bloody murder scene. It looks very intriguing. I can't wait to find out more about that. Let's see. I think we're getting close to the end here. I just want to. I can't live with myself if I don't mention the gameplay trailer for Shadow Warrior 3 that opened up the Devolver Digital Showcase. I love Shadow Warrior, and I'm looking very much forward to seeing Shadow Warrior 3. But it's kind of starting to hit that same spot with me, where it's like, okay, you don't need to show me anymore. Just, if you move up the release date, I'd be super happy.
Yeah, I've never played these games before, but yeah, getting Doom vibes.
Yeah, again, that kick button. No, but it's like,
I've got two questions before we end, by the way, Dory. But
Yeah.
you can continue now.
yeah, but I just want to say, like, Shadow Warrior 2 is one of the most successful games that I've ever played in making you feel like a god superhero. Like, when you are fully powered and jumping around and using all your different powers, your different guns. Shadow Warrior 2 was just something truly unique in experiencing, being a wrathful god of death. I mean, next in line is something like Doom Eternal, but I still feel like I had that feeling even more with Shadow Warrior 2. So to see if they can continue on with that, or Shadow Warrior 2. No, 3. Don't sleep on it. So, Eric, 2 questions. Shoot.
Just to circle back around, what do you think Konami was supposed to show at E3? And why did they change their minds?
That's a good question. I mean, there's what they're supposed to show and what I would have liked them to show. I think a lot of people were probably looking for something Metal Gear related, but I think it's been a while since we've had anything Castlevania. I'd like that. I'd like a new Castlevania game. I don't know whether that's what it was going to be shown. In fact, I'm almost certain it wasn't. But I think we're due for one sooner or later.
I wonder. Nah, okay. I don't want to go too deep down the conspiracy hole. I wonder if Kojima heard that it was going to be something Silent Hill related, and that's why he put out that Twitter teasing Silent Hills, and then Konami got afraid because everybody was excited for a Kojima Silent Hills game. No.
solid thought.
I'm thinking in an alternate dimension.
Have you got your tinfoil hat on?
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think they were supposed to show, Eric?
No comment.
Oh, well, yeah, because you know, and you don't want to spoil it.
Oh,
But
Okay.
the second
second
which
question.
might be more now circling around to the start again. Do you think Sony lost on not being at E3, or is the upcoming state of play more than enough, in your opinion? You think?
I mean, it depends on the state of play, but I
Yeah,
think,
that's what I was going to say.
but I think they're not hurt by not being a part of this jam-packed week, and having a platform of their own. And I mean, because that's the thing about a lot of these showcases, being all tied together by the E3 show, which then needs to put in filler in between the showcases to keep viewers engaged. And then what it ends up being is a lot of panels, a lot of people talking, because I mean, it's interesting discussions, but it's also easy content to create. And I just feel like when we were looking at the comments for people watching the stream, it was like, it's too much. It's too long, too much. So giving people a short little break, even though, I mean, there's the stream What's Next going on all this week. And actually, Xbox is having an extended session tomorrow, an extended showcase. So yeah, giving people a little bit of a breathing room and then coming back, letting them digest what Xbox showed. It might be beneficial, but again, it all comes down to just how good that state of play is going to be.
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it depends on what are they showing, but if they don't have so much to show in an E3, I don't know. I think everyone interested on Sony is going to see, well, it's going to watch a state of play, even though it's not on streaming or even though it's not on a E3. So, and they showed lately the Horizon new trailer and all that. So I don't know. I don't think they've done badly without being here. I mean, they're going to be, I don't know, successful anyway, and people is going to watch this day of play anyway. So if they don't have so much to show here, don't do please a show without a lot of things to just fill that time. So I appreciate that if that's the case.
Yeah, I was actually turn it around a little bit and say that PlayStation may not have been hurt by not being here, but some of the other shows were. Because if Sony had been here and had their showcase, allowing the third parties to show some of these Final Fantasy trailers and House of Ashes and stuff, it's like, then maybe there would have been fewer showcases, or they could have done something, shorter, more targeted. But it just felt like they were like, oh, but we have all these trailers. Where are we going to show them? Oh, let's have an hour-long show where we, show a bunch of mobile game trailers. I think it would have been a better show in general if we had PlayStation at the show.
Yeah, that's true.
I think even PlayStation could have been there instead of Capcom or even Square Enix. But going back to Eric, to questions, I'm starting to think that whatever Konami has to show is going to be seen at an state of play this summer. And if we follow everything that's been mentioned on the internet through those last months, I think that maybe it is indeed a new Silent Hill game or even a remake, and Sony is trying to keep it for themselves to show it on a state of play. I mean, there have been some third parties on this E3 that have been, they felt like kind of empty, as we mentioned before, and maybe some of their key games are going to be shown on that state of play this summer. maybe I'm simply hoping to see something more this summer, or maybe this is what happened. So I think Sony has done a good move not being at E3 this year, because they already did on 2019, and they are just keeping with that, that path they made some years ago.
Yeah. But yeah, so final general thoughts. E3 2021 online only, has it been a success? Do you feel like it has delivered the E3 experience into the homes of people worldwide?
Well, I'd like to just say that I think in a technological standpoint, it's been a success. Like there wasn't any major technical issues, which I think is something that we don't talk about enough because, well, we're in the age of information and there's always technological issues. There's always issues with tech. And somehow we've managed to get through this week with, I want to say none, but I'm going to go say very few technological issues that have caused any problem. I mean, granted, I haven't really had much reason to use the E3 portal, so I don't know how that's been over this last week.
I was down for a day, but yeah.
Was it? Oh, there we go. There was a slip up here and there, but I think for the most part, this has gone off pretty well. Like we talked about earlier, how there's room for a lot of improvements, and there is. But I think the fact that we made it through the 4-day period, which has been absolute chaos, and we've come out the other side feeling pretty content with what was shown. I think it has been a success, believe it or not.
Yeah, Eric?
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, as advertisement for video games, it was a good to maybe great show. As a trade show, not exactly, but it was still a fun week. Time has flown, even without sleep.
Yeah, what about you, Kieran? Any thoughts?
Yeah, as I mentioned, there's been kind of ups and downs in terms of quality of what was shown off and that kind of thing. But overall, I think it was a pretty good showcase, and I've now got tens more kind of games that I'm kind of eagerly anticipating. So that's only a good thing.
Yeah, and Rebecca?
I think more or less the same. I mean, I enjoyed the complete show, and well, maybe I was not as hyped as I started or as hyped as other years, which I was like, oh, I'm going up the chair and I'm going to scream. And okay, I only screamed like the first day, but I don't know, but I enjoyed the complete show. And I don't know, maybe, yeah, a lot of conferences that should have not been, not because they're not good or they're not good enough to be here, but if we don't have content, maybe should have left them. But anyways, I think we enjoyed all the shows in general, so good job anyways, and well, good days this year.
Yeah, like, Juan, sorry, I almost jumped over you.
Well, I think that for me, it has been like some kind of roller coaster, First day, even before E3, that Summer Game Fest started high with that Elden Ring. Well, it was the highlight of the show, I think. But after that, we've seen, as David said before, that this E3 has shown us a clear picture about, what coronavirus has done to every development teams around the world. And it also has made clear that, 2022 is going to be back with games. We have seen a lot of games coming next year. I think that Nintendo has been the only one that has, they focus their show on the rest of 2021. And at last, E3 is about games, and we've had a lot of games shown, so I'm fine with it. Maybe I didn't like some conferences, but finally, the result is that we have a lot of games, and that just matters. So okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I don't know you, but I have a huge wish list. I mean, even though the conferences and all that we're talking about, my wish list has kindly increased. So that's a good point, or not.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
Like my general thoughts on when I heard that they were gonna have this online E3 completely, I was expecting that there was going to be a centralized showcase, something that the ESA themselves would, pull in from different, kind of what Jeff Keighley is doing with Summer Games Fest or Summer Games or the Game Awards, where it's like, yeah, all are welcome, but we're still going to kind of, structure the show. So instead of selling, long time slots during the day for the publishers themselves to have a showcase, to have a showcase where they were, a more centralized showcase, something similar to what Xbox actually did, but without it being tied down to a platform. That's kind of what I was hoping for ever since the E3 experience, a properly functioning portal that's not just a website with text on it, somewhere where we could actually dive in and walk around like in an MMO and visit booths and interact with developers and have video interviews and stuff like that. I just have to say I kind of agree with Eirik. As an advertisement for games, the show has been great. But on the other hand, it has felt a lot like an ad. Just very curated, very... Even putting all those developer interviews into the show and making it look like it's live, or making it look like the person asking the questions isn't tied down to the same paycheck as the person answering. It kind of rubs me the wrong way some of the time. But in general, as a consumer, as somebody that's excited for games, I've been happy. I've seen a lot of games, like you've said, that are going on my wish list that I wanna try out. But I believe that is the end of this year's E3. But like I said in the beginning, it's not the end of this endless summer of games. We're going to be having something similar to what happened last year. It's just going to stretch out for the next couple of months. We're going to be getting live streams from all over the place. Like I said, Xbox tomorrow with an extended showcase. We have PlayStation coming up later. Valve and Steam are going to be running this entire week. So
EA Play Live, July 22nd.
Exactly. EA Play Live. It's going to continue and continue and continue. So, and to that, I say, stay tuned to Gamereactor, where we assemble everything into one place and then critique them. Critique.
Praise
which is kind of
That's what we like.
Which is kind of what I felt was missing a lot from the official E3 show. But that's just me, maybe. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, everyone. And for this year's E3, officially titled E3, we say farewell and thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.